Hello, everyone, and welcome once
I
again to
always love your
Sean's
intro,
Oracle.
bro.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate that. Yeah, Allison Siegel, just a girl 918 at Instagram, did that for me.
Nice.
So kind of her to create that for me, and yeah, it looks great. I'm still trying to get used to it myself because I've only had that one, for the last couple of months. So
Right.
every time I watch it, I'm smiling like that looks so much better than that cheap shit I had before. But yeah, it's nice.
Dude, that's the part about growing bigger, man. Your production gets better, everything gets better. That's part of the game, man. You're doing amazing.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And that being said, of course, I'm so happy to welcome back my friends Ken and Ashley from Sledgehammer Horror. Thank you guys for being here.
Absolutely.
Super stoked, man. We sped through traffic to get here.
Thank you. I'm glad you made it. And before we get started, I mean, I'm sure anybody that is familiar with my channel already knows who you guys are, but take a minute to go ahead and talk about Sledgehammer Horror, promote, anything you have coming up that you'd like to.
What, you want me to do it? We are a couple that loves horror. We love talking to people about horror. I don't really, like what's coming up.
What's coming
You're
up?
the one that has all that.
Today, actually, when this is released Wednesday, we just released our interview with Lou Taylor Pucci and Catherine Isabel. You know them from Evil Dead 2013, as well as Catherine Isabel from Ginger Snaps and Freddy vs. Jason, about their new upcoming movie Lockbox, which will be out on Friday. And on Friday will be our review of Lockbox. And Sunday, we're going a little bit against the norms of what we normally do. And we'll be releasing our review on Minions versus Monsters.
Yeah.
Ashley and I, like I said, we are a horror couple, but we're not that horror couple. That is that horror couple.
That's right.
We are a horror couple, and we always agreed that gateway horror is extremely important. And so, like, we covered Coco, and I had so much fun doing that movie. And Minions vs. Monsters, I think, could be a nice gateway for some young kids to kind of get their toes wet with horror. And if we can introduce some children to, maybe if they watch our review on Minions vs. Monsters and they follow our channel a little bit, we can introduce them into some other horror that they might be involved with or they might fall in love with. So that's pretty much what we got coming up now. We got some My First Horror Movies. We also have a review coming up of The Town That Takes, which will be out next Friday. So hope you guys catch those, and I hope you guys enjoy them.
Yeah, very cool. Yes, definitely. If you don't already, check out Sledgehammer Horror. Subscribe, become a member, all those things. It's great. And you mentioned that horror couple. Robbie and I talk about this all the time. You've been so helpful to so many of us that are trying to get started and do these things. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate you. Every once in a while, you text me with just a little tip or a little pointer, and as soon as you do, I go implement it. I'm like, oh, yep, let me go do that right away, because we all feel like that you're the top. You're up here ahead of all of us, and we're just trying to strive to get to where you are and do as good as you do. So
as much as we both appreciate that, like I said, we just want, we've had people, I still have people that help me to this day.
I feel like it's like a give and take type thing.
Right. And if I can help anybody the way that we've been helped, that's what we want to do.
Yeah.
Like Ashley and I both, yes, and we're all about community. Like we want the horror community to grow and get bigger and get better. And so I think that's the thing with us, is we always just want everything to get bigger and better.
Sure.
And if our friends help us, we help our friends. There's no jealousy with Sledgehammer Horror. It's not like, oh, you see what they're doing. Obviously there's that human emotion. It's like, damn, I want to do that.
Yeah.
But
or why didn't I think of that?
Right.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we just want everybody. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Yeah.
And if we can introduce more people to horror and get people watching horror outside of October, become year-long horror fans, let's do it. And so,
absolutely.
Then, like you were just talking about, there's Rob and Kaylee. There's Our Life in Horror, Sam and Brendan, which are expecting their first child.
Yeah.
Congratulations, guys. We're so happy for you. And then there's just like this small community of us that talk outside of YouTube.
Right.
We text each other, we call each other, we're friends, we're family. And that's the whole reason Ashley and I started doing this. We wanted to be able to connect with more people that loved horror, and we've met some of our good friends just from talking about horror movies, and it's the coolest shit in the world.
I completely agree. It amazes me because I was talking about that, the first, when I even found out that like the horror community was a thing, I had started listening to this back when Our Life in Horror was just a podcast. They didn't have a YouTube channel. They just had a podcast. And I started listening to them. And then I started talking with Brendan and Sam a little bit through Twitter. And it's so funny because they had me come on, and this is again back when they just had a podcast. So they invited me to come on, and I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, I've never been on a podcast or a YouTube channel or anything. They're like, no, come on with us. We're going to have a great time. And I knew Sam liked Chucky, and I knew she liked Bride of Chucky. And so they're like, pick a movie. And I'm like, Bride of Chucky. And so the very first thing I ever talked about, the first time I did any of this, was Bride of Chucky. So we talked about
what a segue, man.
I know. So we started that way, and then they just kept encouraging me to do something. And I didn't have the equipment to do a podcast, but I'm like, I've got a computer, I could do YouTube. And so I just started, and then through them I met well, like you said, Rob and Kaylee, and then through Rob and Kaylee, I've met you, and it's just, I feel like now some of the best friends I have are in the horror community. It's such an amazing group of people. I mean, that's the best part of all of this. So yeah, I think it's great.
And I love people like that. Like, I've never once looked at someone's subscriber count or someone's follower count when I've invited them on the show. Like, I want to talk to anyone and everyone about horror. There have been people we've turned down for different, someone that's posting a swastika on their profile picture, we're probably not going to work with.
Right.
But honestly, like, we want to work with everybody, and everybody started at 0 subscribers. Every single person that you're talking to on YouTube started at 0 subscribers. That has nothing to do with the quality of their work. That has nothing to do with the quality of person that they are. Right. I never look at that stuff, because then you're going to get caught up in numbers and you're going to forget about how important people are. Yeah. So Robbie texted me. I was like, dude, you got to get a hold of this guy. I think I called you the next day.
You did.
Hey, let's work together, man.
Yeah.
And I think that everybody should remember that. When you start to get a little bit bigger and you start to get a little bit of a following, just remember, every single person that you're talking to on here started at 0.
Yeah.
Do not measure what the quality of their content is by their subscriber or follower count. It's never going to do you any good.
Yeah, I completely agree. And yeah, that being said, so we have been going through the Child's Play franchise. We've talked about the first 3. I know how much of a fan Ken is of these, and it's been a lot of fun talking about these first 3 movies with you. And now this one is going to be so interesting. I cannot wait to hear. And I know you said Ashley's a big fan of this one.
It's my favorite franchise.
I cannot wait to hear you guys' thoughts on this, because spoiler free, I like this movie. I think this movie's a lot of fun. I don't know how to rank it compared to the other ones because it's so different. I mean, it's a totally different tone, but it's still so much fun. So I'm really looking forward to listening to what the two of you have to say on this one. But we will jump right in and get started. Bride of Chucky, released in 1998. Tagline for the film was "Chucky Gets Lucky." I normally try to read a brief synopsis. This synopsis that I found is incredibly long. So basically, Chucky gets a bride. I mean, that's the synopsis for this film. I'm not going to read all of this stuff. I was typing it out, and I'm like, this is way too much shit. Nobody wants to just hear me read a book. So that's where we're going to go with this. But like I said, released October 16th, 1998, directed by Ronnie Yu, written by Don Mancini, distributed by Universal Pictures, a runtime of 89 minutes, $25 million budget, $50 million at the box office. I'm going to mention just a couple of members of the cast: Jennifer Tilly, Brad Dourif, Katherine Heigl, Nick Stable, John Ritter. Let me stop there and ask the two of you what you think about the cast and characters from Bride of Chucky.
I love Jennifer Tilly. I think that they did an amazing, like, when they put her in this franchise, I think it just made it even better. Like, I think Child's Play, this franchise, is like my second favorite franchise. And I feel like the addition of Jennifer Tilly was such a great move.
100%.
Yes, like she just made it that much better. And not that the other 3 movies were bad, because I love 1, 2, and 3, but this one is my favorite. I always tell Ken, everything's better with a bride.
Everything's better with a bride.
Yeah.
I think that I like Bride of Chucky. It's not my favorite in this franchise. Jennifer Tilly is a very welcome addition. One of my bucket list things is to be able to be at a poker table with Jennifer Tilly. She's a huge poker fan, like I am.
She'd probably kick your butt.
She'd whoop my ass probably. But I'm a huge Jennifer Tilly fan. On screen and watching her play poker, she's extremely intelligent when it comes to playing poker, and I would love that. I think Katherine Heigl, they do a good job.
I mean,
the characters just suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Besides Brad Dourif and Jennifer Tilly, obviously.
Fucking pin nose, what do they call them?
Yeah.
Needle nose.
Needle nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably all the other characters are just
And not a detriment
not
to their
great.
acting.
Yeah.
Right.
The acting's fine. It's just that the characters are shitty characters. We're not supposed to care about.
Right.
Right.
But I mean, like, I think this was the logical next step. Child's Play 3 wasn't loved by people, which still blows my fucking mind. But you brought in some new blood. You took the influence of Scream, and it wasn't overly meta like the next movie we'll talk about.
Yeah.
Right.
But it was meta enough to where it made horror fans smile.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You got the scene where John Ritter gets the nails in his face.
Yeah.
Looks like Pinhead, and
Right.
why does that look so familiar?
Yeah.
And then at the beginning of the movie, when you have the evidence lockers with like the Freddy glove and the Jason mask and the Michael mask and the chainsaw, so it was enough to where true horror fans are watching this movie and you're smiling.
Yeah. It's just, I feel like this is what the franchise needed.
Yes.
They already had him chasing after a young boy trying to steal his body
For 3 years.
3 movies.
About 3 movies, yeah.
Yeah, and so now, like, I feel like this is exactly what the franchise needed.
Yep.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I agree with what you're saying about the cast and the characters. The one that I still, even though he's one of the worst characters in the movie, I still liked him just because of the actor, was the Chief, John Ritter.
Oh,
I grew up.
Absolutely.
I grew up. I mean, I'm getting old. I grew up watching Three's Company. I absolutely loved John Ritter. I thought John
Rest
Ritter
in
was
peace.
great. So just
Dude,
seeing
problem
him
child,
in this-
man.
Yeah,
For real.
problem child. Yeah, I just seeing him in this, even though his character is an asshole, I'm like that. It's John Ritter though, so it's great.
Right.
And if you think about it, like John Ritter's been in like very few horror, but he's always so memorable. Like he was in the adult version of It, the
Yeah.
1990 It made for TV
Right.
one. He's in Bride of Chucky, and his roles are always so memorable because he's John fucking Ritter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what an amazing, amazing actor.
And I mean, normally he doesn't necessarily play like
A
the
douchebag.
asshole character.
Yeah,
So it just
right.
shows that he's got range, that he can, be the nice guy, or you can hate him, and
Right.
that just means he's a good actor.
Yeah, I completely agree. How about the story? I mean, I know we've already talked about how we felt like this was the direction this needed to go, and I completely agree. But this particular story and them doing it this way with, tagging along with Katherine Heigl and Nick Stable's characters and the way they play this out. Do you like this story?
It's kind of cheesy, the story, like, and toxic. Obviously, there's a lot of toxic, like,
relationship
stuff. But yeah, I think it's fun. Like them in a van with them showing, they're the toxic ones, but yet the couple that we're with, like, they only really want to be together to, like,
For money.
yeah,
Like, they're
but
going to
it's
escape.
like they don't really want, like, they I don't know, they hate each other after a while.
Yeah. I think the thing for me is just like, look, and again, Child's Play is my favorite horror franchise, so I don't want that to get misconstrued in any way. The biggest problem I have with this franchise is constantly changing what is important and what isn't. Like in this, all of a sudden we'd need the heart of Dembele to do shit.
Right.
And it's like, look, I love Don Mancini and I love this franchise, but I'm also very honest. And I think that there's certain things that if it doesn't make sense, it doesn't make sense. And like they want to take over these two now and they want to become human again. Like I understand it, I get it. But at the same time, why do we need to go get this heart of Dembele now all of a sudden?
Yeah,
because he's been in there for so long or whatever. Because they wanted to write a road trip movie.
Yeah.
But I still I think this movie is still, like we talked about Child's Play 3. This is still the perfect amount of horror and comedy together.
Mhm.
Right.
It's a little bit more meta than I for my liking usually. I could forgive it just because
I mean, it's not as
goofy.
like as the next movie is. Like I feel like this
Right.
is the perfect
Yes.
combination of horror and comedy.
Right.
Whereas the next one is just like completely
Comedy.
like comedy.
With awesome kills.
Yeah.
Seed of Chucky is a comedy.
And I don't hate
with
Seed of Chucky. I
neither
know
do I.
that this is Seed of Chucky is a lot of people's least favorites. But
It is my least favorite.
Yeah.
But it's it still has
hate it like everybody
gnarly
else does,
kills,
yeah.
man.
Yeah.
And this one, like you have the kill of the semi truck.
Mhm.
You know, when the guy just turns around and bah,
Yeah.
gets hit by that truck. You're like, dude, like,
Yeah.
So it still has those moments that I love. But when it comes to the story, like I said, it doesn't leave a lot to be desired, but
Yeah.
it's not really what I want in a Child's Play movie, if that makes any
Right.
sense.
No, I completely agree. And I have always said horror comedy typically don't work for me. I'm not a big horror comedy guy because I feel like there's so much comedy that just completely takes the horror aspect out of it, and there's
Mhm.
nothing that even resembles a horror movie anymore, or the jokes just don't land and the movie's dumb.
Right.
And that's where I feel like most horror comedies tend to fall. But I 100% agree with. I think this is the perfect example of how to do it right, because we
Mhm.
still get some of those horror movie elements. We still get some of those things. We still get a few jump scares here and there, but the jokes also work, and it just balances out pretty well. So yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. Anything you want to mention before we get into a couple of production notes as far as special effects, cinematography, score, that kind of thing?
I mean, this one has I'm trying to think of some of the kills in this one that I really liked. Obviously the mirror kill, which
Yeah.
became iconic. You know, the
Yeah.
champagne bottle through the
Mhm.
mirror.
I made a
Right.
rubber.
Yeah, then that line.
That's so
Yeah.
You got a rubber? I made a rubber. You know.
Yeah.
So, and I still think that like is, you know, when you get the burning at the end, you know, Tiffany and then the baby coming out, like that's
Yeah.
sick, dude. Like,
Yeah.
such a great move. And when they're even fighting in there about Martha Stewart, you know what I mean? Like that,
So
that
funny.
whole sequence is great. But like I said, and Jennifer Tilly, like Ashley said, like you get her, and I'm not being, you know, perverse, but you get her in that, you know, hot tub at the beginning, and she's drinking
Right.
that wine, and you're like, she's just such a beautiful woman.
Yeah.
And she's watching Bride of Frankenstein as kind
Right.
of like a homage again to other horror movies.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where you're watching her and you're like, this needed this.
Mhm.
We needed this. And
The opening kill, the ripping of the piercings. That one.
oh yeah, with
I
Alexis Arquette.
Yeah.
forgot about that.
And then they
Like, that's
suffocate
one
him with the
yeah,
pillow.
Yeah.
That one makes me cringe every
Yeah.
time, and it looks good too.
Right.
You get Chucky laughing the whole time.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, that Brad Dourif laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, when they're ripping out the piercings of Alexis Arquette, another rest in peace.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just such. It is. That's a great kill to show that Chucky is still mean.
Mhm.
You know, because like that's what we forget throughout some movies is that Chucky's obviously it's a killer doll, and they didn't want to take themselves too seriously anymore. I
Yeah.
get it. I understand it, but he's still mean.
Yeah.
Right.
Like that's what we got to remember at the end of the day. Like he's still a mean, bad person inside
Right.
of there with Charles Lee Ray.
Right.
And that kill just shows how mean he is and how he's getting off on killing Alexis Arquette that way.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I think there's a lot of good kills in this one, and I will say I don't know why. I just think it fits so perfect. The Living Dead Girl song that we get, you know, after
Yeah.
he gets out of the police car thing. I think that's so cool. Yeah. So
Mhm.
there's a lot about this movie I think that works really well. Just a couple of quick production notes that I'll mention real fast, and then we'll start walking through this plot. So we've kind of talked about this a little bit, but after the release of Child's Play 3, Don Mancini and David Kirshner decided that the series needed new direction and decided against bringing back the character of Andy Barclay. Inspired by the meta-ness of Scream, they decided to go with the meta horror comedy route. Kirshner then came up with the idea of The Bride when he was just seeing a copy of Bride of Frankenstein in a local video store. He mentioned it to Don Mancini, who loved the idea, and so Tiffany was created. It cracks me up that he saw it in a video store. I wish we
Yeah.
still had, I wish we still had video stores myself.
know.
Actually, it was so
It's
cool.
So nostalgic.
Yeah, completely. Jennifer Tilly and Brad Dourif worked in tandem to provide voiceover dialogue during a 3-day recording session prior to the start of principal photography. Each doll required 7 puppeteers, a computer playback operator, a puppet coordinator, and then Ed Gale and Debbie Lee Carrington performed in suit as Chucky and Tiffany during the graveyard scene.
That warms my practical little heart.
I know.
Yeah, I know. It's very cool. And it just amazes me how much work goes into this. I mean,
Oh,
every
yeah.
time we do one of these Child Play movies and I look at all the puppeteers involved and just the way they have to do everything, yeah, it amazes me the talent of the people behind the scenes in these movies.
Yes,
It's
sir.
incredible. Yeah, because it always
Well,
looks
we
so
have
good.
the box set, and we have watched all of
The
like
bonus
the
features,
special,
the special features.
yeah,
Yeah.
the special features, and it's just so awesome.
when you're sitting there watching them work like that,
Yeah.
you know, like when you're watching everybody
And
work.
there's so many people for one doll to,
Right.
you know, for all the movements.
Right.
It's just amazing how they bring them to life.
But that's why Chucky has stood the test of time
Mhm.
because of the practical work. If you had a CGI doll, it wouldn't look good.
Right.
But the impressive thing about this franchise is, you know, not a lot of people know this, but if you watch the commentary and the special features, they do use CGI a lot for the doll.
Mhm.
But it's such a good CGI that you can't even tell. Like even now, like you're watching it now, and it still holds up so well that it doesn't look out of place because it's just brief.
Yeah.
You know, like, and that's what I really genuinely love about Don Mancini. What I love about
to some, you know, sprinkle your CGI, but just not completely.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Right.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you mentioned Chucky standing the test of time. That's one of the things I think that impresses me the most about this franchise is, I mean, yes, there have been some years between some of the films, but I almost feel like Chucky has stayed more relevant than most of the well-known slashers because, you know, I mean, we haven't had anything Freddy since 2010. We haven't had anything Jason since like 2009. Now that's about to change, but they all have such long layoffs at times. But Chucky, between doing the movies and then the TV series, it's just Chucky stayed relevant. And it's so funny to me, even people outside of the, you know, horror, yes, they know who Jason is, they know who Michael is, they know who Freddy is, but it's amazing how many people know Chucky that don't even watch this kind of stuff. And he's almost the first one that some people think of. The two people that I work with that are not horror fans, and somehow it came out a couple of days ago that I have this horror YouTube channel, and both of them immediately said, "Do you like Chucky?" And I'm like, "I love Chucky. Do you all watch Chucky?" And they're like, "No, but we know who Chucky is." And I'm like, "Okay, that's pretty cool."
Okay.
Still,
Yeah.
I've said numerous times, Chucky is the most recognizable horror icon.
Because people
To people-
confuse Jason and
Yeah.
Michael.
Like we've seen it on the red carpet, you know, like that guy that was talking to Laurie Strode, like Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah.
He was like, "Do you still get scared when you see that hockey mask?" And she's like,
Hockey match.
Wrong
Wrong
franchise.
franchise, buddy.
you know, so people that aren't horror fans, no, I would say the top three most recognizable to non-horror fans would be Chucky, Freddy, and Pennywise.
Yeah.
I would say that those would be the three most, you know, memorable.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be Art the Clown's getting there. I would say
Sure.
that non-horror fans know him just because of video game crossovers and stuff like that.
Right.
But to me, the top three will always be Chucky, Freddy, Pennywise. Even if you're not a horror fan, you know who those are. You know?
Yeah, and that's interesting because a lot of times when I ask people about the big three, you always hear Jason, Michael, Freddy. But you're right, Jason and Michael get mixed up a lot. People mistake one for the other. So
well, I think hardcore horror fans would be the top three.
Yeah.
Would be Michael, Freddy, Jason. I mean, honestly, my Mount Rushmore would probably be of slashers would probably be Chucky, Jason, Freddy, Michael. That would probably be my Mount Rushmore. But you know, if as non-horror fans though, they don't know the lore of Michael. They don't know the lore of Jason. Especially younger horror fans now, they still know Chucky.
I think Ghostface is pretty.
You know what? I think she's right. I think Ghostface is probably
when we were, when we were kids, you had.
I'll take Pennywise off, and I'll put Ghostface on.
For sure.
You know, I might take Freddy off because the younger generation would probably know Pennywise, Ghostface, Chucky would probably be the big three for the younger generation of recognizability.
Yeah, that's probably true because again, like we said, it's been so long since we've had anything with Freddy, and I think about that a lot, and I try to talk to other horror fans about that Mount Rushmore, and I always hear Jason, Michael, Freddy. I hear those names, and then that fourth one seems to be debatable. To me, I would probably say Chucky as well, but I could get somebody saying Ghostface. Leatherface and TCM is all over the place, so I understand why that doesn't get a lot. Freaking,
great killer, but his movies are bad. It's just like Pinhead.
Yeah.
You know, like I can't put Pinhead on my Mount Rushmore, even though he's one of my favorite horror villains of all time. I can't bring myself to put him on my Mount Rushmore because I only like about three of the films. Out of 10 or 11, I like 3.
There's
so many of those movies that they just throw on Hellraiser because it's like
they were about to lose the rights. So let's write a movie. Let's put Pinhead in 3 minutes of it and call it a Hellraiser movie.
No, I completely agree. That franchise, I'm a big franchise guy. I love going through these franchises. I keep putting Hellraiser off because I'm just
I don't blame you. There's about 3 that are good.
For me, it's 1, 2, and 4.
The space one I liked.
Which is part 4.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 4 are the ones for me. Actually, 4 is probably my favorite, which makes a lot of people laugh. I love Hellraiser 4 Bloodlines, which is funny because it has all the makings of what a shitty movie should be. Like, it's in space. It's called Bloodlines.
I know. I was like, oh gosh, we're in for a treat.
But they actually did it intelligently.
They did.
It takes place in the past, present, future. It's such a great movie. It's like I said, it's 1, 2, and 4 will always be like the cream of the crop for me in that franchise.
Yeah, I was like, I thought he was punishing me watching them because I never really gave him a chance when I was younger. I watched the first one and I was like, oh, these are boring. But the older, I like them now. The older, especially the first two.
Yeah, I agree. I really like the first two. I know I've seen a couple of the other ones. I don't know that I've seen Hellraiser 4, so I definitely need to give that one a watch.
Dude, so good, man.
I think I watched 3 and thought it was such a drop off from the first 2 that I just stopped and never watched it anymore. But
it's funny because a lot of people love 3. Like 3 is universally loved. We didn't really like that one either.
No.
Right.
You know, it was fine. But then
you
watch 4.
There's definitely worse ones than 3.
Oh yeah.
After 4, like,
after 4, it's just.
Yeah, that's what.
Which is sad because some of those movies, if they weren't Hellraiser movies and they were just regular movies, they would have been fine. But you could see how forced they are at being a Hellraiser movie that you're just like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to watch this shit.
Yeah, no, I get it. I was talking with my friends at Slasher Radio the other day, and I was talking to them about possibly going through this Hellraiser franchise, and they were all just like, "Yeah, good luck."
Yeah.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right, we'll get into the plot, start walking through this a little bit. Of course, we open up with the at the police department. We get, as Ken was talking about, we get to see Jason's mask, Freddy's glove, Michael's mask. We see the chainsaw all there in the evidence locker. We see a police officer take a bag, head to the warehouse. He starts to open this bag. He talks to Tiffany on the phone, but then of course, gets his throat slit. We get better view of Tiffany. We get the Living Dead girl song. We find out that there's Chucky's remains that are in this bag. And then Tiffany begins to put Chucky back together. Give me your thoughts on the opening scene for this movie.
Again, what a great introduction to Tiffany. And it gives her calling card.
Right.
Nail file to the throat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's how we meet her. And we see her do it so many times throughout this franchise. And again, like you see that evidence locker. As a kid, that blew my fucking mind.
Yeah.
Like horror crossovers when I was a kid, it's not like they are now where Scream really made it so that every horror movie knows every horror movie. Like, and that's cool. But when we were kids, man, shit like Jason Goes to Hell and Bride of Chucky, like that blew my mind to see horror crossed over like that.
Yeah.
So still to this day, I think that this is very special for doing that, for creating that type of environment where and it didn't create it, obviously. Like we said, Scream did it,
right?
But for a big franchise to take this shot, I think that was very important and very special.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it's funny because I've seen this movie more times than I can count, but it had been a while. So I went back and watched it the other day to get ready for this. And you were talking about how you can throw on this kind of movie and you just smile. And that's what I found myself doing this opening scene. As soon as it gets started and we see that stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this. That's so cool. Mm-hmm. And then we get, Tiffany doing her thing, and I'm like, yeah, this is so much fun. It's been a while, but this is still so much fun. So I completely agree. Of course, we meet Chief Kincaid. We meet some of the other characters, David, Jade. The kids all try to leave. Chief Kincaid kind of sets them up there a little bit where they want him to think Jesse's not around, but he's there in the car. Gets pulled over. We meet the officer Needle Nose there, or whatever it was they call him. We cut back to Tiffany. We see her working on the Voodoo for Dummies. We meet Damien. He comes in. He's trying to get with Tiffany, and then we get, like you were talking about, Chucky's kills of Damien, pulling out the piercings, smothering him to death. And then, of course, Chucky and Tiffany get into an argument, and she throws Chucky in the playpen. But we kind of already talked about this kill a little bit. But again, anything else you want to mention there? Because I agree with exactly what you were saying, Ken. It just shows us how mean Chucky is. I think this is a great kill. There's not maybe a lot to it, but it still looks really good. It shows that Chucky's still an evil little bastard. And then Chucky and Tiffany arguing and her throwing him in the playpen is pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, I think that's something that Child's Play has always done, is making like the most simple thing seem like awesome. Like, look at the first Child's Play. You have the kill of Aunt Maggie going out the window. It's just a person falling out a window, but it's so memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Look at this one. lip ring torn out, suffocated with a pillow.
Yeah. I just think the whole like thinking about having
I know.
having an earring
But
ripped
it's
out
not
of your
like
face.
it's not like the most like well thought out,
Yeah.
super intelligent kill. It's
Sure.
very simple.
Yeah.
But it's super memorable because of how bloody it is when he ripped the tooth ring, the lip ring out, and then Chucky just sitting on that pillow and laughing, and Damien's all tight, he's getting ready for some bondage shit,
right?
A little more than he bargained for.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which
No, go ahead.
I think it just shows like how like a badass Tiffany is too.
Oh, yeah.
Like she has, like you were talking, she's doing the voodoo, and this is like a reel and stuff that I see all the time, or a meme of her sitting there with doing the voodoo, like, and I just love it. And she's hot, like she's a baddie.
She is. I agree. And even leading up to Damien's kill is funny because you can tell she's trying to figure out where is Chucky for a minute. She's like, where'd he go? What's he doing? Damien's like feeling around under the couch, and Tiffany's watching, like hoping that's where Chucky's at. Instead, he gets the tarantula on his face, which would freak me the fuck out. I don't want that.
Oh, for sure.
But yeah, just overall, I think it's such a great scene. Tiffany then, of course, ends up buying the girl doll. We get the scene there where, like you said, Tiffany's in the bathtub. She's watching Bride of Frankenstein, and Chucky ends up, he gets out of his little cage there. Throws the TV in, she's getting electrocuted, a lot happening. And then he transfers her soul over to the girl doll. And then as she comes to, then that's when they start talking about how we need this, a heart of Damballa and that being brought up, which I agree. I'm like, really? We need that now? That's never been talked about before, but okay, that's fine. And like you said, they just wanted the road movie because we find out it's buried with, Charles Lee Ray's body. So Tiffany, turns on her charm. She calls Jesse to drive these dolls. This part cracks me up. I think about this every time. This movie came out, like, what do we say, 1998? And Jesse and they're so excited to get $1,000. Like they're going to start a new life on $1,000. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I mean, $1,000 gets you through like maybe 2 weeks now. So how are they going to do
maybe?
I was to say, if you're frugal.
For real. Eating ramen noodles and shit.
Yes, exactly. It just cracks me up. And then we get another great scene. We get Tiffany's makeover where she's getting all fixed up.
I love that.
Yeah, such a great scene. Jesse gets the dolls. He talks to Jade. They end up taking off on their road trip. But right before they get ready to go, Chief Kincaid gets in there. He's going to plant some marijuana in the van. And then we get, the Chucky and Tiffany. They seem to kill him. He pops back up later on. But like you said, I love the scene here where the nails all go in his face. And then Chucky's talking about how familiar it looks. Yeah. Another great, fun scene. And that's the thing that I was talking about at the beginning. When you're looking at these scenes here, this movie is so much fun. It really is so much fun. And there's some, great kills. There's great things happening in this. It's so much fun. It feels so different. Not that the other Child's Play movies, they're fun as well, but in a different way. It feels so different, but you're still having a blast with it. Whereas, and we'll get into that one later on, but I don't think Seed is fun. That's also my least favorite. My ranking for that's not going to be good, but this is a lot of fun. I really enjoyed this one. So then they get started on their road trip. Anything here that we haven't talked about already that you wanted to mention, or pretty much covered everything you think?
Yeah, I think so. I do love how horror movies, like you already talked about it, but like how they, nod to each other. Like, I think that's awesome. Like bringing all them, having the Pinhead reference, and then all of the guys in the beginning. Like, I just love that. And I think it shows even more how horror is so like a tight, inclusive type.
Well, I think that it's overshadowed. Like, these scenes wouldn't be as appreciated today as they were in '98.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
People forget that back then, like, you didn't cross over like that.
Yeah,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's what I was about to say. We had
also
those crossovers.
Loving horror back then wasn't like so. It wasn't popular, as cool as it is now.
But like back then, it wasn't just because they didn't want to, but you had so much studio interference back then that one studio would be like, "There's no way, you're not doing that." So that's why it's just there in the background. Just like when Jason Goes to Hell, when Adam Marcus asked if he could use the Necronomicon. The studios were like, "You can't say that."
Or
But
you have
yeah.
Evil Dead.
Sam Raimi was like, here you go.
Yeah.
Use my book. Evil
Yeah.
Dead. They have Freddy Krueger's glove.
Yeah.
Right.
In Evil Dead 2.
In the
You know, like
garage,
they had to make it so
like hush hush.
Yes.
Yeah.
It
But
was just
they
Easter
wanted
eggs.
they wanted to add that stuff because
Yeah.
they're, it's like a family.
well, even Phantasm. We're doing a Phantasm franchise review right now. And in Phantasm 2, there's a dead person that they're pouring his ashes into an urn.
Yeah.
And the name on the bag is Sam Raimi.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like little
Right.
things like that where they're nodding to each other.
Yeah,
And
I
I
love that.
love when horror does that. When you catch those Easter eggs. We were the Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Mhm.
Like that was us when we saw the Sam Raimi
Right.
name. And one of the names in the cemetery was Alex. It's RoboCop.
Yeah.
What's his name in the movie? Alex. I can't remember, but I saw it and I was like, "Hey, RoboCop!
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
got to be a RoboCop reference."
Right.
And it sure enough, it was.
Yeah, and a lot of horror movies I think did that too with character names. There's so many characters whose last name might be Carpenter or
Right.
something like that. It's so cool the way they nod to each other. And like you said, back then we weren't getting the crossovers, and so I remember seeing the scene, when I saw this movie the first time, and I was just like, that'd be so fucking cool if there was a universe where they all existed like that. I mean, we got the
Oh, yeah.
Marvel universe. Why can't we have a universe where all these characters get to be in it? That would be
Right.
so cool.
The horrorverse.
Yeah, it would be amazing. We're gonna get Pooniverse instead, but not the same.
Right. Alex Murphy. It was
Yes.
Alex Murphy, by
Yeah.
the way.
Okay, there we go. Officer Norton ends up pulling them over again. He finds the marijuana. We get another fun scene here. I feel like where Chucky ends up igniting his gas tank and blowing it up, killing him. But then I love the scene where Chucky's crawling back and the people see him and he flips him off. And the guy says something like "rude fucking doll" or something like that.
Rude fucking doll, man.
Another great scene. Then here's a part about this film that kind of annoys me a little bit, but I want your take on it. So as these murders start happening, Jesse and Jade start suspecting one another. Like they're starting to get suspicious of one another, which fine, that's okay. But then they immediately get married. So they think that the other one might be a killer, but then they immediately go ahead and get married.
Yeah.
What did you think about this little subplot where they don't know if they trust each other? They call this David guy and, they're both talking to him about everything that's going on. It annoys me a little bit. What are your thoughts?
I agree with that. That doesn't make much sense. If you're fighting and you don't trust each other,
you shouldn't be getting married.
Let's not.
Yeah. Yeah. And again,
Let's
it's just
not impound the problem by getting married to
Right.
each other.
It doesn't take away from my enjoyment of the movie. I just thought it was silly. But had they have not chosen to go there and get married, then we wouldn't have got,
True.
Kincaid comes to in the van there, and then Chucky ends up stabbing him, getting to do kind of more what he wanted to do in the beginning. And then we also get this other couple that gets involved, and we get the great kill that you were talking about, with the waterbed and the mirror above the ceiling where Tiffany wipes them out. Another great kill, which that seems to do it for Chucky. He proposes after seeing this kill, and then we get the doll sex scene, which is so funny to me. Give me your
So funny, man.
Yeah.
Like how you just see it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just
The
seeing it in the reflection, the shadow.
Yeah.
This movie, man, like you can make me laugh with a doll sex scene
I
for
know.
sure.
Yeah.
But this again goes back to them not taking themselves too seriously.
Right. Did we really need a doll sex scene? Probably not. But is it funny?
But are we
Absolutely.
sad that we got
Right.
one? No, we are not.
No, not at all. As we mentioned, they end up calling David. He arrives, and initially he's, trying to tell them both that everything's fine. And then he finds Chief Kincaid's body, which now makes him decide that they're both guilty. But as Chucky and Tiffany reveal they're alive, then this is where we get David stepping out and getting hit by the truck, like you mentioned earlier, Ken. Chucky, they decide to get an RV. That cracks me up that they were able to get this RV so easily, but
Right.
yeah, it's fine. Jesse and Jade, they're doing their thing. We get the whole. They end up like instigating this domestic argument between Chucky and Tiffany. Earlier in this movie, when she mentions Martha Stewart and Chucky says, "Who the fuck is Martha Stewart?" That's another line that cracks me up every single time. But they get their little argument going on here, and it results in a lot of chaos. But kind of give me we talked about it a little bit earlier, but give me your thoughts here on this point in the movie as we're going through this now. We've got the road trip going, and now, Jesse and Jade try to instigate this argument. which ends up, like I said, leading to this RV crash. But give me your thoughts on where we are here in the film.
I want less of those kids and more of Chucky and Tiffany.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And again, I think that like Don Mancini is not an idiot. You can say whatever you want about Don and his writing and how it's wonky sometimes and scary sometimes and whatever, but he's not an idiot.
Right.
He's not going to purposely write characters that you're supposed to love and have them be this stupid.
Yeah.
That's not Don Mancini. He knew that nobody wants to go into this movie, and no offense again to those actors, but no one wants to go and watch Katherine Heigl when they're going to a Child's Play movie.
Right.
You know, we want Chucky and Tiffany. So they almost make it the juxtaposition that you're rooting for Chucky and Tiffany at certain points.
Yeah.
You know?
Just kill them off.
Yeah, you're like, oh my God, shut them up. I'm tired of hearing them.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that, again, Don knows who the stars of the show are. And coming into this, he knew that Jennifer Tilly was going to be a star in this movie.
Absolutely.
I mean, she's already a Hollywood star at this point. Like, I'm not saying she wasn't.
Right.
But he knew that she was going to be a welcomed addition to the franchise.
Yeah.
You know, men were going to love her because she's vicious, she's beautiful. Women were going to love her because she's vicious and beautiful. You know, she showed that, you know, very rarely does she let Chucky get away with any bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, like she's a boss. She's a boss bitch. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone's better with the bride.
Yep. And she's
keep them in line.
Yeah, and she's so awesome, man. Like, she really is one of the best parts of this movie. And like I said, a welcomed addition to the point to where she's still a part of everything they're doing.
Yeah.
You know, like she just came out and confirmed that a new Chucky movie's in the works.
Right. And, the cool thing I think about this too is we were talking about how, you know, Chucky, how big he still is and how he stayed relevant. It's also amazing to me, you know, I think sometimes people forget that there were 3 movies, unless you're a diehard Child's Play, diehard horror fan. There's a lot of people that forget there were 3 movies before Tiffany popped up, because there's so many people that as soon as you bring up Chucky, they bring up Tiffany. I mean, it just goes hand in hand. And, you know, she didn't come in till like halfway through the franchise. But
exactly,
that's just how amazing Jennifer Tilly was and the job that she did.
She made it her home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what she did. She made Child's Play her home. And we were all welcome with that. You know, every horror fan was so welcomed with the fact that, like I said, before this, I had seen her in Liar Liar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
right.
That's what I knew Jennifer Tilly from. For me as a young kid, was Liar Liar.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, but then you see her in this and you're just like, she's a star. I mean, I'm not trying to pearl here, but she's a star, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I've loved her ever since watching. I'll if Jennifer Tilly's a part of something, I'm watching it.
100%.
You know, like I said, I've followed her career so close that I know that she's a poker player and a very good one.
Yeah.
You know, and that's also because I'm a huge Texas Hold'em fan. Like, I love watching Hold'em tournaments. I just had a Hold'em tournament this weekend and I cleaned house.
Nice.
But,
yeah, and the thing is too is I think she's so. I also feel like she's very embracing of the horror community, and the reason I say this, I feel like everybody has a story of someone that, you know, they made a comment on social media, and a famous person made a comment back. When I first got into this and I started my YouTube channel and I was doing some things, I made a couple of posts about the Child's Play franchise, and Jennifer Tilly replied to one of my Twitter posts and left me a comment. And that was just like, that was my moment. I'm like, oh, okay, it doesn't matter what happens from here on.
Right.
this made it all worth it right here. You know, it was so cool. But she just seems to be so welcoming and embraces the horror community and her spot in it. And it's so cool.
Well, I think she's one of those people that really knows that the fans make her.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's very appreciative of every fan she has because she sees how committed fans are to the horror genre.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's one of the big things with her is she knows, you know, the fans make her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I completely agree. So from there, then we're going to get to this graveyard scene. A lot happens here in this graveyard. There's a lot going on with people taking hostages and, you know, trying to make deals and stuff happening. So, you know, this is kind of where everything comes to in our finale. I wrote a few things down here, but just after we've been on this ride and we get to this graveyard, I'd like to hear from both of you, your thoughts on this graveyard scene, the finale, and the way they wrap this all up.
Like you said, I like how like crazy it is, and like it one of these things that keeps you entertained the entire time because there's so much going on. And I love like the fire scene.
I said this is almost an action movie
It
at
really,
this point.
yeah,
Really, this really bust out into like an action movie at this point.
yeah. There is a lot of action, and I think it really just keeps you like
On the edge of your seat the whole time.
Yeah.
I think that's fair because that's how I feel watching this scene. Like you're watching this and you're just like, holy shit, what the hell else could possibly happen here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, like how else? And then like you get the obvious, like we just talked about, like with the baby.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just like, there we go.
Like you knew, like that's just lining them up for the next one.
Yeah, the next thing. A question I have for you, and again, I've seen this movie so many times. Where does that PI come from? Did we see him at any other point in the film, or does he just suddenly show up in the graveyard at the end? Because I never remember seeing him before.
I'm not sure. How do you say that? It's been so long.
I know. Like I it does seem like he wasn't like introduced or anything.
Yeah, it was just like, here you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they needed.
I'd have to go back and rewatch it because it's been so long.
Yeah.
Well, I had forgot about that part. I mean, I remember the end. I remember the graveyard. I remember, the hostage thing and the baby being born. I remember all of that, but I always forget that guy shows up. And like I said, I just watched this again a couple of days ago, and when he shows up there, I'm like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Like I never remember him being in this movie, but there he is.
Who the hell are you, buddy?
Right.
Yeah, but I mean, he has to. I don't know. I guess somebody has to see it so they can tell him what's going on. It's
Right.
Okay. Before we get ready to rate this movie, anything else you want to talk about as far as Bride of Chucky that we haven't mentioned already?
I just think, again, it goes understated how important this movie was back in '98.
Yeah.
You know, in a world where you had Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, all these movies, this and Halloween H2O were the franchises that 80s kids grew up with that were embracing the meta-ness.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that can be understated how important that this and Halloween H2O were to making sure that meta type of horror didn't go away. You know, if Scream would have done good and then everything after it bombed, we probably wouldn't have the meta horror we have today.
Right.
But you had movies like Bride of Chucky, Halloween H2O, I Know What You Did Last Summer, that were riding those meta coattails that really continued to show how important meta horror is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think meta horror, honestly, is a genre all of its own now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it. I agree. Okay, so on the scale of 1 to 10, what would you rank Bride of Chucky?
I'm gonna say an 8.5. It's my favorite in the franchise. Like I already talked about how great Jennifer Tilly is, and I'm so happy that they brought her into this franchise. And the meta-ness, like you said, it's not over the top like the next one is. But I will say that I feel like we needed the Seed of Chucky to get back like the dark and like the scariness of this franchise. Like I feel like they realized they went too far with it, and then they did bring back like the dark, scary Child's Play. So, but yeah, an 8.5. Like I said, it's my favorite.
Okay,
fair.
Ken,
what about you?
I can't quite go that high. I'll say a 7.5.
It's got to at least be passing.
Oh, it's absolutely passing for sure. Yeah. But it's just not a movie. Like there's probably, I'm trying to think, 3, 2, 1, and Curse would probably be the 4 I'd put above it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, and Curse, and then like Bride's right in the middle of this franchise for me. So I think a 7.5 would be fine. But like I said, even like the worst Child's Play movie is better than the best other movies to me.
Yeah.
Like that's how important this franchise is to me. Like I am telling you, like without House 1986, without Sometimes They Come Back, and without Child's Play, Sledgehammer horror doesn't exist for Ken. Without Halloween, without Pet Sematary, what's another big one for you? Halloween, Pet Sematary, People Under the Stairs.
Yeah.
Sledgehammer horror doesn't exist. Because I'm telling you, without both of us, there is no Sledgehammer horror.
Sure.
There isn't. So Ashley, like with her intelligence and the way that she's able to write things and, you know, really produce a lot of what we do. I got to be so grateful to Halloween and Pet Cemetery and People Under the Stairs, because if she wasn't a horror fan the way that I am, this wouldn't exist.
Yeah.
You know, and if I wasn't a horror fan the way that she is, this wouldn't exist. We need each other to do this. So that's why Child's Play will always have a very soft spot for me. Bride of Chucky obviously will have a soft spot for me because it's my wife's favorite. But it's still, for me personally, it's towards the bottom, middle to the bottom of my tier ranking.
Okay. Well, and it's so funny, Ken, that's what you said, because I was trying to decide where I was going to rank this one, and I wrote my number down before we got started, because I ranked the first three films really high. But I also gave this a 7.5. That's what I wrote down as well. I thought about 8 for a little bit, but I had given one of the first 3 an 8, and I just couldn't quite put this there as well. So I decided 7.5. Now, but yeah, I was trying to think. I do like this better than Seed for sure. I might like this better than Curse and Cult. It's been a long time since I've seen those, but yeah, 7.5. So obviously it's one that we're all three still very fond of.
Yes,
and a great one. But
like I said, like if one of the worst in your franchise, and I dislike Seed more than this one. I still am a fan of Seed. Like I said, I think that what holds Seed up against everything else, Seed has some of the best kills in this franchise.
Sure.
You know, with the evisceration of Red Man, with John, you got John Waters in this movie, man.
Yeah.
You know, and him getting the acid on the face. Like, I think that Seed definitely has potential. I think that what they were
horror. It's just
and what they were trying to do with, you know, the transgender stuff didn't really land.
It just
I applaud
for its time.
Yeah, I applaud Don Mancini for his attempt. But
also I like the addition of
Glenn and Glenda.
Glenda, like I love them.
Love Glenn and Glenda.
Nice. Okay. Well, yeah, that will wrap it up then for Bride of Chucky. And Ken, I know we've talked about going through all this. Ashley, I hope you're able to join us when we talk about Seed. I know you're very busy, but you're welcome if you are able to.
Okay.
So yeah, I will try to get you some dates sent here pretty soon to talk about when we can bring you back and do that one again. But before we get off here, go ahead again, please, and take a minute to talk about Sledgehammer Horror and what you have coming up.
The biggest sign for me that I want to talk about is Lockbox. Like I said, today on our channel is our interview with Catherine Isabel and Lou Taylor Pucci, which is awesome. We've been a big fan of them for a long time. And with Lou Taylor Pucci, we've had him on the channel before, so it's nice. You know, we've been in contact with him for a couple of years, just always back and forth talking and, appreciating what he does. I've been a fan of Lou Taylor Pucci since like Chum Scrubber, Thumbsucker, the Green Day music video that he was in. So we've been fans of him for a long time. And obviously Catherine Isabel, Ginger Snaps. She's Ginger and Ginger Snaps. Yeah. She's the one that gets killed in the cornfield in Freddy vs. Jason. Like, we've been huge fans of her for a long time. So to finally get her on the channel for the first time is super epic for us. We're so grateful for this opportunity. And Lockbox comes out this Friday in theaters only. Make sure you're checking out Lockbox. And then we just finished filming and uploading our Phantasm franchise ranking, or Phantasm franchise reviews. Yeah. After that, we'll do a franchise ranking. And as the fans voted on, our next franchise is Jeepers Creepers that we will be reviewing. Yeah. So for, I know a lot of people are not happy with us for doing this. We do not support. I'm not going to take up time on your channel. We'll talk about it in our review. But the fans voted for it, so that it's what we're doing. And I can't punish a whole franchise because of what one sick person did.
No, I completely agree. So here recently, my friends over at the Final Girls podcast, Sarah and Kelly, they've been on my channel multiple times. We went through
love them so much.
Yeah, they're so great. We went through the Jeepers Creepers franchise, and that's something I said every episode is a lot of people worked on these movies. So I'm not going to punish or ignore what a lot of other people were trying to accomplish because of one sick asshole. That happened to play it.
If you're going to do that, the Weinsteins own Scream.
Yes. Right. Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? So, like, you can't sit here and be like, oh well, I don't support this franchise because of this person, but I'm going to support Scream because I love Scream. Like, yeah, we all love Scream. And I'll be honest with you, I've only seen a couple of the Jeepers Creepers. I've only seen the first two, so I don't know what I'm going to feel for the rest of them.
Same.
But at the same time, like, I'm going to give the franchise a fair shake.
Sure.
I think the franchise deserves a fair shake. And again, we don't agree with him. I think he's a sick bastard, and I think he should have been, executed. Like, I think I should have just been. I think anybody that knows me knows I am not going to lie about that. I think you do anything to a child at all, period, you're done. You get no second chance.
I agree, 100%.
But again, I'm not going to punish a whole franchise of movies because this guy sucks.
Right.
And people can think what they want. Again, I know that there's horror channels that are much bigger than us that refuse to cover it, and that's good for them.
Yeah, that's fine.
But if you're going to sit there and cover Scream, don't tell me I'm an asshole for covering Jeepers Creepers. That's all.
No, I agree. And that franchise, I'm really curious to listen to you guys, because Sarah, Kelly, and I all really like the first two and can't stand the last two. They're horrible, in our opinion.
Right.
Yeah,
I've
only seen the first two.
Okay.
It's been
Very
years.
Oh, it's been so long. Because like I don't support what he did.
Right.
And so I was never in a hurry to go back and watch them.
Sure.
Because, I think that that's disgusting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like we're talking about, I'm also not going to punish. One of my favorite actors of all time is in these movies, Justin Long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember watching these movies, the first one in Swanton, Ohio, at my grandparents' house for the very first time. And getting to that ending and being like, oh, those peepers, I get it now.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's I watched it with my grandparents for the first time. My grandparents are another reason why I'm a huge horror fan. So it does have a soft spot for me for that. So like I said, I'm not going to take up time here to talk about it because this is your show. And we're just excited we got to be on here.
No.
But, you asked us what was coming up. That is coming up in a couple weeks. We will start the actual whole franchise review of Jeepers Creepers.
Very cool. Well, yes, definitely. If you don't already, go check out Sledgehammer Horror. Become a member. I just did that recently. I didn't realize I wasn't, actually. I thought I had done that already. And I was sitting there and I'm like, holy shit, how did I miss this? So I became a member recently. Definitely go show them all the support. And again, I feel like anybody that watches me already knows. But that being said, if somebody new pops in, go check out Sledgehammer Horror for sure.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
Let me see. What do I have coming up real quick? In a couple of days, we talked earlier about that horror couple, Robbie and Kaylee. They're going to be on with me talking about Friday the 13th, Part 6.
Nice.
We're doing that one here in just a couple of days. Next week, Isaiah from The Bitter Wolf is going to be on. We're talking about Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation. That's tough. And I've also got an episode on Undertone coming out. That's one that I had missed when it first came out. I was seeing a lot of other stuff, but I had missed Undertone. I just recently watched it, so I've got an episode coming out on that as well. So be sure and subscribe so you don't miss anything. I'm on pretty much every form of social media there is. Just search Sean's Horror Corner. You will be able to find me. Ken and Ashley, again, it's always an honor. Thank you both so much for coming on. I really do appreciate it.
And if you're here from Sledgehammer Horror, make sure you're subscribing to Sean. Not only because we're going to be back, so you're going to want to see us again.
Absolutely.
But on top of that, he has amazing content. He has a lot of amazing guests that come on. He does these whole franchise reviews, and they're so much fun. So make sure that you're coming back and you're subscribing to him, being a part of his family as well.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So, yes, thank you to you. Can't wait to have you back. Thank you to everybody that watched. I will see you soon.